Alright guys, here we're going to talk about the movie Dreamcatcher. (2003's Dreamcatcher. Lee, had you seen it before?
Of course.
Yeah, Stephen King coming through again.
Stephen King, he sure is Stephen King. I remember this movie being something that I thought had good parts in it, but overall was like bad. And now, I like going into it like that, I had a great time. I was like, I hate this. This sucks. But I had a lot of fun.
I enjoy the movie. I will agree, I think, in part with that, where I think that this would make a much better expanded universe. This would be a good TV show or a miniseries, as Stephen King is apt to do.
It's clearly bulging with additional things they can't fit in there, and they're putting like the wrong thing. Like, but that's what you.
It's like a 700-page book that got crammed into like 2 hours. So
the dude takes cocaine and just turns it into books, and we're supposed to like capture it in a movie. It doesn't make sense, but it's fun. It has a lot of people in it that we know and love, and I had a good time just being like, really? Is this what's happening? Really? And like, yeah, it's good.
Indeed. Alright guys, if you've seen it or don't care, falls over spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
Alright, so here we are for the spoilers of Dreamcatcher. Lee, let me hear them spoiler-filled thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's too long. There are parts that I laughed at that were not jokes for me to laugh at. But like, there's still good stuff, and overall, I was like, I was like, okay with it. You know?
I think it either could be shorter or it could be longer. This could be an It scenario where I would actually love to watch a whole movie that is the prequel, like them as kids. I think that would be great, and then them as an adult as a sequel. I think would be a lovely thing. You might be able to do it better if it was like 2 hour and 48-minute movies or something like that. Or I think ultimately I would like it to be a TV show. I didn't remember how good the casting was in this. Like a lot of these people, like it's like, oh, I remember the roles, but I'm like, oh yeah, like I knew Jason Lee. That was the only one that really stood out to me. But I was like, oh, Thomas Jane. I like it. Timothy Oliphant. Oh my God.
Look, this is gonna seem weird, but it's just a thing I do to help me think.
Of course, I was like, Aaron Eckhart, he's here, holding it down, as you. No, I knew it was Thomas Jane, but I thought it was actually Aaron Eckhart, and I was getting it wrong. But I was not. I was getting it right. No, like everyone kind of understood the assignment, as the kids are saying these days, where I feel like no one is acting like they're in this bad of a movie. They're all like committed to the performances and stuff's happening, but it is very funny at certain points.
There's so much happening that it's like easy to breeze over things.
Like it never stops is the whole thing. Is like it's not just like I say too long just as a cinematic experience where I'm like there's whole sections where I'm like this whole section can just go. You don't need this military plot with the helicopters and the thing. I'm like, what are we doing?
Right here, boss. Fast and hard. Wouldn't have it any other way, blue boy.
Yeah.
Like focus on a couple characters and just go with those people and tell that little story.
Our bigwig military men here. We got like the actors really stacked in here, and the one that I don't think I noticed until this watch, and I've probably seen this 3 or 4 times.
Sizemore?
No, Sizemore. That one he stands out. That
Give me back my gun.
And of course God himself.
Now I'm not much for blaspheming, but that last one made me laugh.
But Donnie Wahlberg, I never clocked him. You always look at him and you're like, he looks like somebody, but I never like.
People made a big deal out of that casting at the time because he's doing like an autistic or special needs type of performance and all that stuff.
And he's just so skinny.
Whatever. Yeah, he did a lot for it or whatever. So people made it into a big thing. And when you say God, to clarify, we mean Morgan Freeman.
I'm God.
And Morgan Freeman's eyebrows.
Which ones, Mother Teresa?
Jesus. He's like an anime villain.
Yes, it's very funny. I'm like, okay, that's a choice. And that's really the whole theme. I don't know how much we want to talk about Stephen King, but a lot of it is like someone says, oh, this is in the book, we should put it in the movie. And they don't think like, that's going to look weird and bad and like you shouldn't put that in a movie.
Yeah.
Characters can't talk like that in like a movie. You need to change it.
Jonesy, way to go, motherfucker. Here you come to save the day. Mighty Mouse is on the way!
I didn't catch too much on how much Stephen liked or disliked or cared about this property. So this is the first one he wrote after that accident. So, almost dies, gets in that horrible car accident. Hey! And, like, writes this. Where, like, you joked, I think, about, like, it being, like, cracked, but it was probably, like, painkillers, like, dramatic amounts of painkillers.
He changed drugs for this.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, I am functionally illiterate. I used to read it, as a child.
I used to read it like a 2nd grade level.
Yeah.
And then it slowly...
I've slowly declined now to where I'm only reading like billboards and cereal boxes. Like I'm having a problem here. No, we're always online. There's like email. You're always reading tweets and stuff.
Reddit and whatnot.
Whatever. Yeah, little things. But like I don't read books. As an adult, which I'm not ashamed to admit at all. As a kid, Stephen King fans were like the most annoying kids. They'd be like, "Oh, well, the book is so much better," and I would say, "Oh, is this really weird thing from the movie not in the book?" And they're like, "Oh no, that's in the book, and like there's many more weird bad things in the book. They should have put that in the movie." And I go like, "No, what are you talking about?"
You want us to leave, is that it?
No! Let's shake their asses!
Like, every Stephen King thing is like, well, like, this is a lot like it. And I wonder how many things I've seen this, like, trope of, like, oh, we have this shared childhood trauma that we must now address, and it gave us powers or something. I'm like, okay, like...
Same town, too.
Yeah, I'm so sick of that trope and that same story being told over and over again. So that was a big thing where I was like, wow, it's got that.
And books are almost always better than movies or TV shows because they have the ability to tell you what characters are literally thinking.
Yeah.
There's no budgetary constraints. You can do anything. So yeah, it's going to be better. And to condense the work of a book into a movie is always going to be difficult because you have to cut out good stuff. And if you're some snobby little fucking 5th grader who just read Stephen King for the first time, you're like, oh no, my orgy scene's not there.
I didn't want to bring up the shot, but like...
You did.
Over the years, you hear about things that are in these great books, and I'm like, that wouldn't have made the movie better. That's crazy. And
how would that have happened?
No, what
Did
are you
they
doing?
CG that? What do you mean?
I don't even... Yes. But that being said, I really enjoy maybe like the middle fourth, there's a part of this movie that I really, really like with the shit weasels. When they find the hunters and they're in the cabin.
I've been lost in the woods since yesterday.
That whole sequence end to end, I'm like really into that. And there's a few other little things.
Every part with Morgan Freeman could kind of get pulled out for me.
Yeah.
You just avoided a court-martial, boy.
Really all the military, like that could be another movie where it's from the point of view of those people, and like this guy's like, oh, I've been working 25 years at this goal. Oh, I don't have the energy to do it anymore. I'm retired and I'm passing it to you. And like that could be a movie, and I think that would be good. Yeah. So yeah, let's do the 3 movies. With the military, them as kids, and then them as adults. Maybe a 4th movie that pulls it all together.
I was gonna say it's like a Cloverfield thing where someone just releases this weird military alien movie, but then he meets Psychic Punisher, and like then it's like okay, it's all part of the same universe now. Big reveal.
It's also weird where like the main character, like Thomas Jane, doesn't really feel like a main character, but he's kind of slung into that position. Is there a main character? I guess you'd say it's probably Jonesy.
He's the not dead character.
Yeah, well, I guess by default that kind of makes you the main character. He's the least dead.
No, I view it like an ensemble where it's like the whole crew of like the
It's
the
weird
dudes.
though because you lose Jason Lee pretty quickly into the movie. Timothy Olyphant also.
What's wrong with you?
And they're also split up, so you're not seeing them the whole time they're even alive. And Morgan Freeman, who is like the biggest name in the movie, is only in the second half. Maybe a little more in the second half, but
he's peppered in. But then he also obviously dies. He crashes, right? Yeah, and that's the whole thing. So yeah, he never needed to be there. Sizemore too. I don't know.
Sizemore, I thought, had the most letdown of a character. Like we're like, okay, there's a redemption arc. There's this guy who's trying to be better than what he is. He turns this whole thing in, and then he gets minigunned to death. You're like, what the fuck?
It feels like, well, why is this in there? Well, because that's in the book, and you're like, wait, no, just like it would have been like an effective horror and like cool if the government was just in like a few little parts where you don't have any characters in there. It's just the the dudes that come for ET are there, and they're like you can't leave the zone, and it's this weird like oh no what do we do?
We really needed more unpacking and explanation. Like you needed to understand like is our alien friend here? He's a different species that was sent here to like save us. Could we get any more information on that? So these characters, Mr. Gray and Duddit, seem to know each other or are familiar with what's going to happen. So what is that?
It's you again. Heal thyself, Doctor.
We meet at last, Doctor. I love saying that.
And they fight. No, it's so you're referencing the ending.
Yes.
Where Duddits, who is Donnie Wahlberg's like autistic magic child, whatever, turns into another type of CG alien and has weird alien sex or something with Mr. Gray, who's now become like an eggplant alien guy or whatever. Yeah. And that's the big finale where it was all building to this. But there's no like it's not like Signs where it's like, oh wow, all these things came together brilliantly. It's just like he had to be there at that moment, or
and then up till that moment though, like up until like they really like jumped the shark there, there is this whole like, oh, he set this whole thing in motion.
They're
like he needed you to be dead so that you couldn't be taken over and you could still be in your little mind prison, which is the coolest thing. Okay, I love that.
Now let's pivot to the Mind Palace.
Yeah,
because when Sherlock
Mind Warehouse Fortress thing.
When Sherlock did the Mind Palace, I was like, I know this.
Out of my head. I am busy. There's only one time that name's been made public.
I know this from because like that's one of like the 3 good things, you know, in my great things about this movie.
I think it's one of the best parts of the movie. Yeah.
When he's in there with the files and stuff, and
when I got my new laptop, I had to throw out all my files of rock and roll lyrics.
And they set it up, and it's this funny thing. Later, when he's taken over and he's seeing like through his own eyes, through like the windows and stuff, I was like, this is awesome. This is a great thing. And like trying to like juke the like worm, you know, and like get certain files like into the furnace and stuff, and the big tension of all that. Like when it first happens, you're like, oh, you know, wait, is this gonna be goofy? But they really pull it off really well. No, this is really, really good.
And how they all have these different powers that are kind of just blinked into existence through like that one moment that's really anticlimactic.
I didn't say that. I thought it.
But like, say, you know, like one guy's powers, like I can like find things through my little like wind tunnel fucking vision board, whatever you want to call that. One guy can like read minds.
What are you gonna tell Rita about what you did here, Owen? What are you gonna tell Katrina when she's old enough to ask?
Our one friend here has that Mind Palace and stuff.
I mean, they have like a generic psychic
They all have
too.
a like CB radio in their head.
They're like in touch with one another. Yeah. But that's very, I don't know. I hate otherwise quote unquote normal things where it's like, oh well, and of course the kids have the psychic powers when they're adults, and it's like, oh God, stop it. I don't know. I've always hated that trope or whatever.
I hate the tropes of addiction in things. Like Jason Lee dies because he is addicted to toothpicks. I need a toothpick. I'm so nervous. I have a toothpick. I can't wait 4 seconds for a toothpick. There's one that didn't absolutely touch shit. I think I could get that one into my mouth quickly. Right. Like that kind of stuff, it just irks me. And I like Jason Lee. So like as a kid watching him for the first time, I was like, fucking A, you killed this guy I like. And like even Timothy Olyphant, same thing. You're like, oh my God, his dick. Whoa.
Lord, I will never drink again.
Well, and he went for the beer. But the other guy said, like, don't go back to the truck to get the beer. Stay with her. And then you see him doo-doo-doo, whistling.
I don't think that it would have done anything like in his case.
No,
like,
he's fine.
His was not directly related to the beer. Having the pee definitely hurt him, but he would have got snuck up on it. That thing was taking the long route. That wanted his penis.
Yes, but it seems like they're trying to establish this thing or whatever. And they do it like they are trying to tell you that Jason Lee has some sort of issues or something. Because one of my favorite scenes is like, peanut butter soothes me or whatever. He's like eating the peanut.
Well, peanut butter calms me down.
Somebody else might want to use that jar.
I'll leave some.
Butter.
What if somebody else wants peanut butter? I'll save some for them.
When he's like licking he's putting his entire hand into his mouth and then putting it back into the peanut butter thing.
That's like putting your whole mouth right in the dip.
And eating peanut butter that way.
Those are great character traits because these are weird fucking things people could do. No, everyone has a friend who's a monster. That's possible.
I like this attempt to establish that the trauma that gave them the powers and their weird childhoods has also left them like sort of messed up. You see the one guy about to blow his brains out and stuff in the beginning. The whole beginning really up until Jason Lee dies is like, I'm really into that part of the movie.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
And then like from there, stuff starts like screws start to like unscrew themselves. The whole thing's vibrating and it barely makes it in. It's like really rough.
Yes, they don't make sense. Like it's bubblegum and duct tape, like all stuff. Like, why would they not be seeing Duddits ever again? Like, why do they leave him alone? How is his whole scenario work? Did he take over like this child and he's been living inside him this whole time? Because if that's the case, when our alien friend jumped out of Jonesy, Jonesy was still there. So shouldn't there be a Duddit somewhere else? Or was he always an alien? Then who is his family? Do they adopt him? I don't understand. I need more information.
That scene, and his mom seems to know that he's like the chosen one somehow.
Goodbye, Daddy. Be a good boy.
Now go save the world.
But no,
I would love if she was an alien too. That'd be great.
Yeah, so like literally everything you've said there is on like my list. Is like Jonesy is just sitting there, and all of a sudden, the big monster comes out of him.
The gigantic monster that comes out of your anus.
I was gonna say, where like typically it comes out of the anus and murders you by doing so.
Earlier in the movie,
like,
when they were on
the
snow ski or whatever,
Yes.
he like turned and then ate fucking Timothy Oliphant.
No, you bastard, no!
Like, so I'm like, wait a minute, that was just morphing your body into a mouth. How'd that happen?
So like the rules don't make any sense there. And yes, the whole Duddits and the whole thing, they act like he's dead.
Can't stop thinking about the duds lately. How about you guys?
Duds. It's this place. He's all around here, even though he's never been here.
They act like, oh man, we were about to go see him too. Oh, whatever. Like they're talking about him like they can't see him, or that they can't be like they don't know that he has whatever type of cancer he has now. He's like somehow out of the life.
It doesn't make any sense.
They spend so long telling you so many things, but they don't clarify why that's happening. And I'm sure that's in the book, but it's not in the movie. So you're just like, what's happening?
They're all like cheering, like, oh, he's the best human in the world. Oh, I love him so much. He gave us superpowers, but you don't see him like all the time.
Don't go visit.
You're going on a little vacation. You don't bring him with you. I don't understand how that. Like, where did that fall off?
Like, how are you not?
It needed something there.
Like, how are you not in touch? And how is that not a story that has to be told and has to be like, I really regret it, but this and that or something, or there's some like
we don't live there anymore. We live in the city. He's 2 hours away. Like at least throw in something.
Or like, after this thing happened, a big misunderstanding. Now his mom will not let us see him, or something has to happen like that. Because otherwise, it's like, what is going on? No, it's a mess.
Yeah. No,
But Jason Lee dying thing. That's one of my other favorite. This stuck with me to the point where I felt it, even knowing it was there, even seeing it coming. When he's doing this one and the shit weasel bites him and goes and then like they don't change the music, they don't change the camera angle.
Yeah.
They let his hand drift back up with the fingers missing to give you like a split second to notice it before he notices it and goes, holy shit, because that's so realistic of real life. Like if you're working on something and you get bit and like you can't tell at first and like then it starts to bleed and like you don't feel it right away. I'm like, oh, that's perfect in this giant bloated mess of a movie. This little moment is like perfect.
Yeah, and the shit weasel looks pretty good. Like
they're fine. It's like dated CG, but whatever.
I like it, but again, on my I need more information thing, the big alien does just seem to be a larger version of that. I'm like, well, is one go to the other one? Like, do they only lay eggs in their small larva phase and then they grow up to be a thing? Because he can't just shit an egg into that hole himself. He needs that dog to birth out a thing so they can shit out eggs. And
we don't.
It's a very weird.
We don't know the life cycle, and like, there's the crash ship sequence.
Yeah, why are they just standing there?
Don't hurt us.
Please, don't hurt us.
Please, don't hurt us.
There's no infection.
We are helpless. We are dying.
Fire at will! Fire!
Okay, so like all right.
For convenience of the movie?
There is something so surreal, though, about them gunning down these aliens while they are disguising themselves as like softer, nicer looking aliens, I think, and saying, we are not a threat, please, we are helpless, help us, and all these weird things that they're like pumping into their brains and all that stuff. It was so trippy and weird of a scene, but like, I think it's meant to be like, oh, well, they're a bunch of liars. They're actually deceptive or something like that. And we learn nothing from this interaction.
No, but and like, why are they're obviously their ability is to spread and like shit weasel and keep going and do this thing. Why are they just hovering all around this fucking ship? They're just waiting there just to be mowed down. Even if they just walked in different directions, they'd be in better position.
So part of me was like, they might legitimately be asking for help. They may have actually crashed and they might actually be asking for help. I don't understand, though. That's the whole point.
No, yeah.
Because to your point, if it is a deception, it's like the least effective one ever. You can like lay eggs in people and then let them run around. They can apparently take over people's bodies sometimes.
If you can change how you look, why not just look like snow?
Or like a thing that lives out there.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
There's something wrong, and it's probably again in the book, but we don't get to see it in the movie.
And it seems like they do have that power, because like they take over all that wildlife, through like their red fucking splotchy bullshit.
Right.
So it does seem like the wildlife is just, okay, spread and conquer type of a thing, which you'd think would have escaped any of those those like, you know,
perimeter.
Yeah, you'd think, because there's so many small animals.
No,
but
that's that doesn't
I don't know.
work.
And the idea that one egg in the water is all it takes to take over the whole world, like, well, that seems like it'd be really fucking easy. We'd be so fucked.
Yeah, like you don't have to go to like the water treatment plant or wherever he goes.
Start small, bro.
You can just go to like any drain. The toilet eventually goes to like some water place.
Somewhere.
Right? You can do something from
if you
there.
can just limitly produce eggs and
leverage
do
from that point. No, like I think it would have benefited as a cinematic experience from toning all that down. So it's just this weird thing where they're not sure what's going on. They're learning about it, and it's this awkward like whatever.
Yeah, you didn't need a big ship. Even just one of these in the woods would have been enough. And then you have, you know, God shows up, and he's more like your, what the hell's his name? Jake Busey, not Jake Busey, Gary Busey character from Predator.
He comes here every 2 days to feed. Seems he has a taste for beef.
I didn't think he was vegetarian.
Well, we've prepared a little trap for this predator.
And like he's like, we know we had a landing here. We got to get one. I'm God. And like does this thing, but they made it too grand and too compacted and smashing all this shit together.
It's like the Morgan Freeman military subplot has all those things you've like thrown out there. Is like this like succession is you're gonna be in charge now to Tom Sizemore. It has the thing of like, oh, he's gone crazy, he's obsessed, and this other thing. Like way too much there.
Yeah.
Way too much. And it's not like it's bad or something. It's just like that's a different movie. That's a movie where you're following them around, and the people are only made sympathetic to like pull your heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah.
This movie's about the people, the psychic children, friends of Duddits.
The children are some of the best, I think, casting. Because like I'm like that looks like them when they're all right. Are these their kids?
Eat it. Eat it. You can go.
Hey, you guys, quit it! Just fucking quit it!
This is pretty good.
No, I was shocked at some of the like good, like you see the faces and you're like, I know exactly which one that is. That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
I always picture like the child actor and the real actor like hanging out and trying to like
get some mannerisms,
act like each other and stuff. Yeah, because the Jason Lee kid was like, I'm like, that's Jason Lee. That's a guy. That's great.
I do wonder if Stephen King, like usually you hear like when he hates things, he's like, oh, I hate that. Oh, I want to redo it. This and that. Well, I haven't heard anything about that, so I wonder. I did hear he sold the film rights for $1 though, and I don't know what that means. Does that mean I just really wanted it to get made here for $1, or is he like, that piece of shit? I was high as a kite. Take it, $1.
I don't know enough Stephen King to know if like they're all about psychic kids from Maine or not.
A few.
More than just this and it, or because
what was that one called? Like Greystone or something? Gray something? Gray Castle. I can't remember. There's three of them that I can recall that are like take place in that same area.
With the same plot or whatever?
No, like just the fact that like this and it are in Derry, and then the other one is like right out Castle Rock is like right outside of Derry. Okay. As a thing, so like he likes that area at least.
Because like being Maine is like a Stephen King trope that I know just from osmosis culturally. But it would be very funny if he was like, oh shit, I just wrote It again, but I swapped out the It creature for aliens. Is the It monster an alien? I think it's an alien canonically, right? It came to Earth, interdimensional being.
Interdimensional
whatever.
Maybe.
The point is, he's like, oh no, I just did another thing with kids and adults and powers.
I do like kids with powers, and like these are much more cool powers. Like this is actually powers, I should say. What was Jason Lee's power?
Duds can hear people's thoughts. We can't.
Are you sure of that, Beef?
Did he
even have a real one?
They just are like psychically attuned now or something. I don't know.
Well, it seems like Thomas Jane can literally go into your mind and pull things out, and I'm like that's cool.
I never said that.
She called out to you from that big fancy oak bed. She said she was having chest pain.
I never told you any of that. How could you know this?
And Jonesy, in addition to having his little mind palace, seems to know things because he knew that kid cheated when he wasn't even there.
How did you know? You weren't even there that day.
Sometimes I just know.
No, like they have powers, but I think it's just like a generic.
No, I mean, but yeah, I think they each have though like a
specialty or something.
A specialty, whether they went into deep detail or not. Like like that's a real power.
Well, I like the scene of Timothy Olyphant finding the thing and the lady's keys, and then like it doesn't work, and he's like, "Fuck."
You got it.
Like,
of course it wouldn't work.
Because
you know how creepy that looks?
And he's so creepy in it,
Yeah.
which is really good because he's you know, whatever. He's a mixed bag of
What's
like
funny
acting
is the moment that scene ends, he becomes a real person, and I'm like, that guy would get a date. like when he's trying to be like just like nice, because he's almost still in car salesman mode, I think.
Yes.
Which like I'm like, no one likes a car salesman. And then once he's just drinking beers and hanging out, I'm like, that's Timmy O.
Got blown last night.
Good for you. First time?
Bite my bag.
That's the boy.
No, and like if I was to give the movie too much credit, I would say like, well, that's intentional. It's like he's trying too hard. He's like in his own head, he's stressed out. He's trying to do it, and then like they feel comfortable around each other. But it's kind of like if you're a cop, you only hang out with cops.
Yeah.
If you're like a weird traumatized psychic child that met an alien baby boy, like you only hang out with those people now forever.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
It's the curse.
We all know.
So Meg Ryan wakes up in the morning and says, "Where's the cat?" And he says, "What cat?" And she says, "The cat that shit in my mouth." That'll be 50 small.
In that beginning sequence, in addition to Jason Lee's fingers, I also really like when they're like, "Sir, where are you bleeding from, sir?" And he's like, "I'm not bleeding."
Rick, where are you bleeding from, buddy?
Bleeding? I'm not bleeding.
Like through the door, because something about that just still again, like the performances, the lighting in the cabin and how everything looks like a certain way, like it really hit me because like when you hear the guy say that through the door, you get this vibe of like, oh no, like oh geez, like what's going on now?
And he dies like 1 second later too.
Well,
so like it's amazing how it's controlling him, the bloat of his chest.
Ate some berries in the dark. I think they must have upset me.
His stomach, like.
You know what I think? I think you need to lie down and take you a little nap.
Super creepy stuff.
Well, and like that actor does a great job of kind of indicating that something is wrong, but not like it's not over the top. Which like it's a Stephen King thing, so I expect everything to be over the top and gross and dumb and all that stuff. So like really good. This is a little over the top. Jonesy, when he steps out of the cabin and he first does his like hello, his like weird like smile on his face when he's like
the Green
infected.
Goblin smile.
Yes, I like that.
It's very robotic and instantaneous, and I do like that. That's like a Robert Patrick style looking thing. Like I'm like, oh yes, you're good.
No, something made me go like, oh shit, like that works.
I don't really know him either. That actor.
He's like the least known, and they gave him a lot of challenging material.
I thought he nailed it. I thought he nailed everything.
That goofy stuff on the snowmobile, I think mostly, where he's talking to himself and they're just using 2 camera angles.
What was that, Mr. Jones? What did we just pass on the road there?
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, I am, Mr. Jones. Or is it Jonesy?
Like Gollum does later on. Like, that's really easy to come off really, corny and bad. And I thought he really did a good job.
They said his Mr. Gray is him doing a Malcolm McDowell impression.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, yeah, that is.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, like, and even just like Mr. Gray, the character, like all that is so corny and lame and stuff. So like being able to salvage it into like these good performances out of everybody, like, this is dope. Now, having done it say Mr. Gay, and having this revelation at like an hour and 30 minutes in of like, wait a minute, when he was saying it's the gay, it's the gay, that meant Mr. Gray.
He's in Mr. Gay.
Mr. Gray. Mr. Gay is Mr. Gray.
We gotta save this girl.
Save the world some other time.
Mr. Gay?
And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and they seem pretty adept at reading all of his wording.
What's happening?
So I was like, wait a minute, why was that the hard part?
No, they've never
Is that just because you're a child and it's funny to hear gay? Like, I don't know.
You already knew.
And like, the only excuse there too is that the adults use dialogue that I think is a part of their psychic childhood and Dudditz's influence and stuff, where they just, as an adult man, they go, Scooby-Doo, we got some work to do. All this weird, where I'm like, that is a strange, weird thing to insert into these characters.
I'm not all that absolutely positive I want to go in there.
What if he's dying? Scooby-Dooby-Doo, we got some work to do now. On 3. Ready?
That
was also like a get 'em moment when he comes up, it's an adult Duddits, and he's like, oh, Scooby Dooby Doo. I was like, yeah, boy.
We do. We have some work to do now.
And you expect some really awesome, like, Charles Xavier fucking psychic bullshit to happen. Like, oh, he's gonna Gandalf the Grey, that motherfucker.
You cannot pass!
And then it's just like, nothing.
Like he morphs into some, like, Egyptian
he looks
pharaoh
kind of
alien?
like what our Mr. Grey looked like when he poofed red in the, like it was weird.
Different, yeah.
But it was weird that, like, why did he look different then? Why was his, like, I'll be intimidating and I won't be the big teeth monster, I'll just be this fucking kind of cutesy, like, what is that made by? Funko Pop? Like, what is that?
There's a line from Morgan Freeman which says, still doing the cutesy thing or something. Like, it's so packed with trying to inform you, but yeah. And I don't know if they could look like anything, but yeah.
Why not look like a human?
And then, like, why is Duddits slightly different? So is he a different species?
I think
or
he
the
has
same
to be.
species?
Has
What's
to be.
happening?
But again, they don't give you any information, so who's
They
to
both
say?
have sharp tails.
Yes, they do.
And when they kill each other or, like, whatever, it looks like when the ship self-destructed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just convenience or if that's meant to be like, this is how they do it.
Well, here I am in my head going, okay, the first time we saw a person explode into a red mist, it totally infected that cabin. Which, whose cabin was that? That's a very nice cabin. You know, one of them is like a psychiatrist. Potentially he's got money. Whatever. But it infected, and that's what spread this mold or virus across the world and had to get burned down. And so my mind goes when two aliens turn to red mist and cover this whole room that has an open manhole leading to the water supply, I'm like, oh, wait, we might be fucked. But they all seem like, hey, we got it, kids.
Duddits was neutralizing whatever was happening. That was his
I still don't want his juice in my
power
juice.
or something. Yeah, and it kind of goes like, and like sucks down or whatever. We're like, okay, I guess that's, but yeah, that was, okay. And then it ends where they just look at each other and it just ends. And you're like,
Jonesy.
Okay.
Well, because it's like, is that Jonesy? And then he smashes the last fucking bug. You're like, oh.
Jonesy.
Okay, Jonesy.
Hey, and then it immediately cuts to like bloopers / B-roll of them back at the kitchen table in the cabin. This is very like mishandled. I think by the end they were just like, no one's watching this far. Fuck it, and they just like, you know, called it in. Or
it's sad. Timmy O, when he dies, that scene I thought was like interestingly done. The way the camera pans out during like the initial attack, you can see like, oh, he was cursively writing his name nicely.
High civilian decoration.
And like, he gets this.
Oh, when he gets bitten in the crotch.
Gets bitten in the crotch.
What you meant when he got eaten on the snowmobile?
No. So he jumps onto like the fire to kill the alien, which also would hurt him. So I'm like, okay, cool, I like that.
And he screams like
he does.
He's like, I don't like this.
Later, he burns his own face to get it off his neck.
He's having like a brutal time.
Like that whole scene, I was like, all right. And like the way he kept his eye on the prize, because like most people would immediately be like, my dick, oh my god, and like the second the thing retreated away from you, focus on your own injuries. But he kind of stayed like, okay, I got business here. Shock is probably setting in. Let's get this thing. Yeah. I liked how that scene played out. It was all the more depressing when he then dies, because I was like, he survived that.
I know, and he's like dealing with all that now, and then it just ends so unceremoniously.
Exactly.
No, there's a lot of sequences like that are really good, like camera work. Even when they like flip the car and it's this big crazy thing.
The cut and sound there made that.
Watch it! What the hell?
I was like, oh yeah, that's the way to do it.
No, and like you felt it, and then having them like it lingers for the perfect amount of time before it cuts wide, and you see that the chick hunter is still just like sitting in the next episode, and that creepiness of like, wait, what? Shouldn't she have noticed this and like turned around, like what's going on? What's going on? Like those things are really good. So it's like weird that it ended. Like I'm really interested in like the story behind this, like you said, King's involvement. I wonder how this happened. And like I said, I had fun because now I'm like, it's bad, yay! But
no, it's a fun movie that sticks with me. I think the scene that I think has stayed with me the longest is the flashback bit when he's like, just say the word and he's gonna run. Do you know who that is? Like,
get ready, Pete.
Give the word, Henry.
He can fly.
He's so fucking fast, you'll never catch him. All you gotta do is stand in your way for like, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's a fuck you, bitch. Like,
No,
I don't care if you're the quarterback. That fucker here could sprint.
When you come for us, all we have to do is get in your way.
I can't catch that little dick.
You know who that is? That's Pete Moore.
That is actually because I hate children. I hate children in movies. I hate children with powers. I hate Stephen King. But yes, that I agree was like they were using their whole like I don't know how to explain it, but something about like the chess-like way where they're like, no, we've thought of that, no. And at one point, one of the bullies is like, wait, why? Like why do you care? And they're like, because it's not right. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Blah blah blah.
That part is a little cringy because it's like you
like,
are better than good. You're more than good. You're great. You're like Tony the Tiger and shit.
But like, I love the confusion on the part of the bully.
Why? You lose. Why?
Because you can't do that. It's wrong. And I'm going to tell the world. Tell everybody.
And then like the assertion of like, no, we have this. This
yeah,
is
the
fine.
smallest kid while holding two rocks. No, let's fucking fight.
Do it.
Come on, you dickweeds.
You want to fight us?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, where they're just like, yes, this is the right thing to do, and we are instantly because like yes, it's like unlikely and corny for anyone to do that, but if anyone's gonna do that, it should be the guys who are now the main characters saving the Earth from this like crazy thing, right? So like it felt okay. It's like
imagine if they were the bullies,
right?
That's a movie.
It's one of those frailty things where the flashback was actually other people. Yeah. Oh no, I got a message.
Is it about the movie?
No.
All right then.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's alright.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
It's a good idea. Catch a little shut-eye. Save your energy for those horrendous farts.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinion